Okay, these are your weekly instructions for the week, for week 7, the week of February 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. There will be 2 assignments for this week. One of them will be if you're in 1301, it'll be the Chapter 8 quiz. If you're in 1302, it'll be, I believe, the Chapter 24 quiz. So those will be due Thursday at a minute before midnight, as usual. Let me see here. Yes, that is correct. Okay. The other assignment is the quiz. It's part of writing part 1. The writing assignments, you've done one of them. You've turned in your works cited list, or you should have. And again, there was confusion about that because I'm not even 100% sure of this, but I get the impression that I had not placed the Dropbox in the weekly module. Now, but I had about 2 or 3 other documents pertaining to it, so some of my more intrepid students apparently found it in the assignments module. It was there in 2 different places, and they were both published. So I got one comprehensive list and one much shorter, but the last week I saw it again. That's not a separate assignment. That's just an extra week for people who couldn't find it or otherwise missed it. And since there's a large possibility that I did a screw up on that, I don't penalize people when I screw up. So it was just there to give those people another week, and it would be where they could find it in the February 15th module. Does that make sense? Who knows? Okay. But this is the Identifying Sources quiz. It has 30 questions, or thereabouts, and I'll be graded on a scale of 100. It's multiple choice. And each question will contain an active link to one of the documents on the list you're provided for writing your final paper. If you're in 1301, the subject is going to be about slavery. 1302, it would be the Tulsa race riots of about 100 years ago or a little less. So for each question will have the link. Go to the link, check it out, and then answer a 4-option multiple choice question about it. Mainly, you'll be called upon to analyze the source and distinguish between whether it's a primary source, a secondary source, or a tertiary source. Tertiary means third. Okay? A primary source is written, basically these are documents, can be photographs, things like that. The primary source is written by someone who is either a participant or an eyewitness to the historical events that are being described. Secondary sources are based on primary sources. They tend to have closer, more well-defined topics. Tertiary sources are yet another divide. A textbook, chapter, or an encyclopedia article would be a tertiary source, tend to be over broader topics. There could also be, I believe, other questions pertaining to other aspects of the content of the source, but you got the source in front of you. Shouldn't be a problem. Now, on this thing, I'm leaving it the way it was set up for the department. I'm supposed to do that. There will not be a time limit. Got as long as you need. And you got 2 shots at it. You'll be able to see your answer. I'm not going to show you the correct answer. That kind of defeats the purpose of having 2 attempts. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm a little bit old-fashioned about some of that stuff. Now, also in week 7, the chapter quizzes that were nominally due last week when we had the Ice Age. By the way, last Tuesday morning, I believe, was the coldest morning of my entire long life of any place where I was. I came to and checked AccuWeather on my iPad about 9 o'clock, and the temperature was -2. That'll get your attention. And National Weather Service issued a wind chill warning, the first one ever in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm sure they're common much farther north, but you have to have a wind chill factor of -18 or below. If you get out in that, you're in trouble if you stay very long. Okay, back to where I was. The chapters 6 and 7 in 1301, 22 and 23 in 1302. Since people could have power outages and other problems, I went ahead and just extended those deadlines through this week. and tried to encourage people that if they didn't have a power outage and you did have access to those, wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and do it, because if you didn't, for whatever reason, this week you're looking at a kind of double load, because Thursday night and the night before midnight, the deadlines for in 1301, chapter 6, 7, and 8, that expires. In 1302, it's chapters 22, 23, and 24. So, just how it works. I don't like to carry over deadlines beyond the next week unless we have another blizzard. And we were hoping it would get up to 70 by next Thursday. Got up to 72 today, I think. Okay, today being Sunday. Let's see, where am I on that? Okay, the writing part one, which is the sources quiz, is part of it. There are 4 parts, if I can think what they are. You've already done the works cited list, and I extended that because, as I said, there's a screw up on it. Possible one, I'm not completely sure it was, or whether it was in 1301 and 1302 or just one or the other. But sorry for the confusion. There's the identifying sources quiz that's due this week. There will be the thesis statement and outline assignment. Okay, that's going to be due later on. So those 3 parts, those are the 3 parts of the writing part 1. I said 4, there's 3. Now the writing assignment in general, for averaging purposes, the 4th part, which is the final paper, that's going to be due sometime in April. And it counts more than the others. Okay, I think that gets you caught up. Oh yes, I'm making progress on setting up Zoom office hours. I've got the calendar set up. You can sign up for a time slot. They're 15-minute intervals, like 11, 11:15, 11:30, or 11:45 on Tuesday and Wednesday of each week. Now, the technique for sending you an email invitation for the time slot and get all set up, that's still a little bit uncertain, but it's supposed to work. Okay, I can set up and designate you as the person to talk with me directly on the computer screen for whatever you need to do during that time slot. If you set up an appointment, it's a good idea to notify me. I think there's a place there where you can, put it in as a comment what it is you want me to be prepared to discuss with you. Okay. Now, this Wednesday, 3 days from Sunday, this Wednesday, which will be the February 24th, at noon, I'm presenting in our department's annual lecture series. We let this go last spring after March, and we're only resuming it this semester. I usually get a February slot. Topics vary. My topic is going to be the economic weaknesses that made the economy of the United States vulnerable to the Great Depression. It's mainly things that happened in the 20s. I'll see what I can do for 40 minutes on something I take 3 days on in class, or at least 3 to 4 hours. We'll just see. I'll have to fly at a very high altitude. If you're in 1302, good idea to watch it. I think it'll probably, that college will put it on YouTube later on, but this is going to be good advanced preparation for a major part of the 3rd unit. 1301, just a good thing to know about. So anyway, that's going to be at noon. Now, one of the double back on that is that I've deleted the 11:45 appointment time for a Zoom meeting on Wednesday. By the way, it will be on Zoom. Okay, I think that gets us caught up. Anytime you have a problem, different people have different situations. I've been a teacher now this is the 39th consecutive year that I've been a full-time teacher at one level or another, so I've heard everything, and I am a very sympathetic person. Not to say I'm a marshmallow, pushover, might be, but if you need me to make an adjustment for you, let me know, okay? Email me and we'll help you any way I can. Okay. All right, there you are. Oh, yes, one more thing. 1302 in the weekly module. Now, this is about emergence of the U.S. as a world power. I haven't done anything like this before, but I posted in the module 2 parts of a two-part miniseries that was broadcast by, I forget what the name of the channel was. It's got a different name now. This was back in, I don't know, 1997 or so. And it's about the Rough Riders, the first United States Volunteer Cavalry, eventually commanded by Theodore Roosevelt, future president, in the Spanish-American War. And although this was a mini-series put up by a cable channel, it is highly regarded as among the best war movies of any kind. You've got the time, you've got the music, you got the attitudes, and so I don't know quite how you did it. I think they came in about 3 or 4 minutes in on the part one, which I sat there and watched. Each part is going to run an hour and a half with commercials at odd intervals. So I'd say skip ads and move on those. So anyway, that's recommended. None of those are required, but I think they go a long way toward enriching the course. If I had an equivalent on 1301, it would be another, I think, made-for-TV movie based on a little novel aimed at basically high school-age people called April Morning, written by an author, prolific author named Howard Fast. He's one of these people who, in his earlier adult years, was a communist who won a Lenin Award from the Soviet government, and then later may have reverted kind of to the opposite extreme. This is about the events at the very beginning day of the Revolutionary War. And I haven't put the whole thing up there. I may just think if it's available on YouTube, why not? So if it's there, it's up to you. Now, I did put in a clip from it, and that it's 3 or 4 minutes long, and that's the skirmish at Lexington Green, first shots of the Revolutionary War. Okay, have a good week, and we won't have as much trouble keeping warm this time.